winters. And I know he had become comfortable because if it's cold, you had to have gotten up at some point or somebody came to help you go home to find some clothing. So he was not there every day. There was a certain time that he came, that he and others came. So he's not there every day. You know, in 38 years, he's had to use the bathroom. Please don't think that these people are not like us and that they don't have to use, they didn't have to use the bathroom wherever they use it, on the dung heap or wherever they use it. He still had, in 38 years, he had to use the bathroom. He had to eat. So he had some help. Or he was able to do certain things. So he had to change clothes in 38 years, right? Right? He had to groom himself in 38 years. So then I know he has become comfortable in what it is that he's in. And that if he really had wanted to make it to that pool, he could have. I just want that to kind of simmer just a little bit, just to think on this whole thing. We've gotta put this whole thing in perspective. In 38 years, he could have done any number of things. and so somebody just hit me in the chat that says, how often do we do the same? Become comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's where I'm honing in tonight. That's where we're going. Because when we begin to pick this thing apart and take this whole text apart, there are so many things that have been done over 38 years. And if you are a person that's listening to me and you're at least 38 or older, you can't even remember all of the clothes you had to change and the meals that you've eaten and the times you've had to go to the bathroom. And you do a lot of things in 38 years. And they seem to have an idea of when to collect at Bethesda for this troubling of the water. So I'm saying it's not like they didn't have calendars. It's not like if he had really wanted to be healed, he'd have just sat at the edge of the pool. But let's keep reading because the Lord knows something about him. It says in 6, when Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, and I want you to see how direct the Lord is with him. He says in 2021 speech, do you want to be well? Now, I paraphrase what it says in the King James Version, which was, will thou be made whole? But what that converts to is, do you want to be well? Because now the Lord begins to ask questions of him and of us to find out how comfortable we actually are in what's stopping us from going forward. He says, you tired of this? And I mean, I'm talking to somebody that's going to get a hold of this podcast. Are you tired of this? Are you tired of being like this? Are you tired of your life turning out like it has? Because see, then he puts the ball in our court. And that's what he did to this man. He said, well, do you want to be made whole? And the first thing he gave the Lord was not a yes or no. He gave him an excuse. How often do we do that? This is why I'm like I am. It's my mom's fault. It's my dad's fault. It's how I grew up. It's my first wife, my second husband's fault. It's my kids. It's my mom, my dad. I can't be whole because nobody in my family ever did this. Nobody ever had this measure of success in my family. I can't go forward. I'm afraid. I'm sick. I don't feel good. This is not good for me. You just don't know what I've been through. You don't know the things that I've had to deal with in my life, but do you want to be whole? Yes or no? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I'm coming, another step down before me. What an excuse. After 38 years, you haven't figured this out. Listen. 5 years is a long time. 10 years is a long time. If you consider 10 years back in your life, where you were, and all of the things that you have done in a decade, that's a long time. Y'all, we're talking 3 decades, going on 4 decades with this man. He's not figured it out. So I know something about him. The Lord is revealing something about him, because sometimes we don't want out of our situations, because those are the situations that bring us pity. Those are the situations that get us attention. Those are the situations that make it okay for us to just be sorry. I just don't do nothing. I'm in such a bad way. That is just an excuse, and that's what he gave the Lord. He said, I can't get close enough to the water. The Lord says at 8, okay, get up, get your bed and walk. Because the Lord wasn't buying that excuse. And what he was saying to him is, your mind needs to be healed. Your mind needs to be whole before your body can be whole. Your body not being whole is not the issue. It's in your mind that you think the only way I can be healed is to get in the water. And in 38 years, I've never gotten in the water. So he would have laid there, he was likely a beggar of some sort. He would have laid there for another 38 years had he not been challenged in his mind. Your mind is messed up, the Lord is saying to him. Because all he said was, get up. Get your stuff and move on. He didn't touch him, it doesn't say. He didn't ask him any more questions. He had, no more conversation with him at that time. He just said, get your stuff, get up and go on. And it's very simple for some of us. We either need to just tell ourselves the truth. Well, you just don't understand. You don't understand. The Lord wasn't really trying to stand there and get no understanding as to how, after the 38 years, you still sitting here. He didn't have a conversation. Well, what happened? How did you end up here? Where's your family? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? He wasn't he was not conversating with this man. He asked him, do you want to be made whole? The man said, well, instead of saying, yes, sir, yes, I most certainly do. After 38 years, I want to be made whole. I want to get up from here. I don't want to keep coming to this porch with these people and people treating me like and God is saying to somebody tonight, what do you want? Do you want to be made whole? What do you want? Well, when you start like that, if it's not yes, it's some stuff that needs to happen in your mind. It's your mind. This man gave him an excuse. 38 years, y'all, this man was sick. 38 years. Undoubtedly, that's longer than some of the listeners. 38 years. Almost 4 decades. This man has been in this state. How long have you been in your state? How long have you been crying about things that you don't even need to be crying about? You just need to get up, get your bed, and get to stepping. We want to give the Lord all these excuses why we're in such a bad state. You just don't know how I grew up. I had this problem and that problem, and you just don't know my first marriage. You don't know what happened to me. I don't know. And Jesus didn't know what happened to him. And he wasn't interested in that particularly. And some of you say, well, it's just really hard. Because my being like I am gives me an excuse for not doing better. And I need that excuse to prop myself up on. so that nobody will judge me. So nobody will say things about me. So nobody will blame me for not getting up. Maybe you're not the fault. I can't blame you for what happened to you. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't believe the Lord was trying to do that. I'm not trying to blame you for what happened to you. What I'm saying is that eventually you're going to have to get up. You're going to have to wipe your face. You're going to have to stick your chest back out and hold your head up. You're going to have to go forward. And that is your responsibility. And you may not have been responsible for the things that happened to you. Or maybe you were. But what I do know, and what the Lord was saying is that, but it's your responsibility, sir, to get yourself up and get yourself going. So let's just do that. It says, immediately the man was made whole, took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. So now we're going to see some other things about this particular man that had laid impotent for 38 years. We're going to see some things about him that may not have been apparent to him. I want to read 9 again. I'm at 5 and 9, John 5 and 9. And I want to read it again. It says, and immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said unto him that was cured, it is the Sabbath day. Is it not lawful for thee to carry thy bed? He answered them, he that made me whole. The same said unto me, take up thy bed and walk. Then asked they him, what man is that which said unto thee, take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed was not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Again, there is a crowd. But what does this say about this man's character? That he didn't even inquire as to who Jesus was. He never even asked his name. He said, I don't know his name. And 11, he says, he answered them, he that made me whole, the same said unto me, take up thy bed and walk. 12 says, then asked they him, what man is that which said unto thee, take up thy bed and walk? And 13, he says, and he that was healed wist not who it was. It says, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Now that says one thing, Jesus left, it was a lot of people there. But it says another thing, that you don't follow him and say, excuse me, who are you? I'm so glad you healed me. And some of us are working through healings right now. Remember to give God praise. Remember to ask him his name. Remember to talk to him and be grateful and thank him. He has brought some of us a mighty long way, and we don't still struggle with some of the things that we used to struggle with. There has been a deliverance and a healing and a making whole for us. And we have something solid, and it's more solid and we can stand on it, and it's firm under our feet, and we don't cry all the time anymore. And some of the things that used to make us cry don't make us cry anymore. And some of us wrestled and struggled with things for 5, 10, 15, 20, 38 years. We struggled and wrestled not being able to tell people how we honestly feel. We have struggled and we have wrestled with what we feel like is confrontational. So therefore we draw back from it and allow people to walk on top of us and make us feel small. But God has given us a voice, and he's let us know through his word that he's not given us the spirit of fear. And some of us have had pride in us that was so bad that it's stopping us from going where God is trying to take us. And God has had to do things in our lives to show us that you can't do anything without me. And we've been delivered from that whole spirit of pride that was stopping us from having good, fruitful relationships. And we've been delivered. And this man was made whole. And it said something to me about his character, that he did not go after Jesus and say, like some of the other people said in the word of God, where we find, who are you? I want to go with you. Can I be with you, Jesus? I want to follow you. He didn't say anything like that. He was like, I don't know what his name is. The Jews obviously made him afraid. Who's making you afraid of your healing? Who's making you afraid to say that Jesus is the one that I have to give credit to for where I am right now?